Around the Ozarks is now on your FM radio. Listen to Around the Ozarks mornings with Grace Gooley as I spotlight local people, stories, and podcasts, all while playing the country legends of the 90s and the hit makers of the 2000s. It's on the Ozarks' best country, 105.1 The Bull. It's time for Around the Ozarks News, sponsored by the Springfield Greene County Park Board, Thompson Sales, Advanced Car Care, Smouse Brothers, and United Plumbing. Here are your hosts, Ethan and Sarah Forhetz. Good morning. It is brand manager Grace filling in one more day before the Forheads get back. So let's go ahead and get into some news on this Tuesday morning. Two Springfield agencies worked together to rescue a man after receiving notice of an individual stuck in a storm drain on Sunday. Lieutenant Michael Ramsey of the Springfield Police Department said that they responded around 5:49 p.m. near the intersection of Market and Lombard for the incident. Law enforcement reports that they found a man who was unable to get out of a storm drain. Ramsey said that with the aid of the fire department, they were able to remove a small amount of concrete to save the man. Authorities did not go into detail on the circumstances of how the man got into the storm drain. Well, if you are a fan of Fairlife milk, you have probably heard Fairlife has stopped producing milk in the United States after it was hit by a ransomware attack that was announced on Thursday. Fairlife identified unauthorized access by a third party to a portion of its systems, including its production-related systems, in connection with a ransomware event. The company notified law enforcement and is conducting its own investigation into the breach. Coca-Cola, who is the parent company of Fairlife, said the full scope and nature and impacts of the incident are not yet known, but they added that the product quality and the safety has not been impacted. This is purely software situation. The ransomware attack forced Fairlife's production to temporarily pause in the U.S., but operations in Canada have not been affected, and it is unclear when Fairlife production will resume. The city of Springfield has been awarded a $3.6 million grant from the Environmental Protection Agency. Funds are earmarked to do a cleanup at 404 and 428 North Jefferson Avenue, according to a news release. The site, spanning about 3.8 acres, contains hazardous soil contamination, as well as a historic structure that requires asbestos and lead-based paint abatement. According to the release, the site along Jefferson Avenue contains a former commercial and heavy industrial property. Officials say that the project will help spur Phase 2 of the Renew Jordan Creek Master Plan. The vision for Phase 2 calls for public green space at the site and the restoration of a section of the Jordan Creek that is currently buried underneath. So, seems like this one works out for that. All right, it's been about 8 months now since the U.S. minted its last penny. And it's been even longer since a shortage left businesses struggling to make exact change. Well, a bill passed in the House earlier this month that could help relieve some of that confusion. The Common Sense Act, which is spelled, of course, CENTS, formally ends the production of the penny, which the U.S. has already stopped minting, as we mentioned, and addresses how retailers should give you change when they don't have any pennies. One solution that has been happening is that people have been rounding to like the nearest 5. That, however, can lead to legal challenges. Several states have laws that prohibit businesses from rounding cash transactions up or down. Part of the problem relates to laws that say those paying with different forms of tender, like a SNAP EBT card, can't be charged differently than a customer paying with cash, which makes sense. Under the Common Sense Act, businesses would be allowed the option to round cash transactions to the nearest nickel. So if you buy something for like 1982, it would actually be 1980. But if it's 1983, they'd round it up to 1985. That kind of a situation. This would only impact cash transactions, not those in which you're paying with a check, mobile payment, or a card. Pennies would still remain legal tender under the bill as well. The Common Sense Act still needs to pass through the Senate to be signed into law before it can take effect, but it's gotten through the House. So we'll keep an eye on that one. The longtime leader of the Greater Springfield Area Sports Commission has left. Lance Kettering's exit was announced in a news release, which noted that he was the Springfield Sports Commission's executive director for 16 years. Stan Adams, director of sports business development for the Springfield Sports Commission, has been named interim executive director effective immediately, according to the release that was released on July 17th. It also stated that Lance played an important role in advancing sports tourism throughout the Springfield region and helping establish the Sports Commission as a valued community partner. The Springfield Sports Commission, which is managed under the Visit Springfield, Missouri, noted that in the release that Adams would oversee day-to-day operations, which is crazy because if you watch Around the Ozarks sports scene with Scott Purrier, he actually just interviewed Lance like days before this happened. So if you look back on Around the Ozarks sports scene, July 9th was basically like the week before that. So make sure you check out that episode if you haven't already. But I'm sure if I know Scott, he will follow up on the situation and get another interview. So, all right. The Springfield Noble Hills Sanitary Landfill closed yesterday due to a material fire. Area fire departments were on site. The fire was contained. There were no injuries that have been reported. But this incident is an important reminder that prohibited materials, including batteries, chemicals, flammable materials, and other hazardous waste, should never be disposed of at the landfill. These items can create serious fire and safety hazards when they are entered into the waste stream. Landfill customers are encouraged to review usage guidelines and a list of what is and what is not accepted at the landfill at springfieldmo.gov/landfill. Also, they have this really cool thing that I didn't know existed until now, the city's waste wizard. So if you go to springfieldmo.gov/waste wizard, you can determine how materials should be properly disposed of in the community. So that's pretty cool. The landfill is expected to reopen during the regular hours today, 7 to 4. But if you're planning on going, make sure you check their Facebook page because they may update it because we still got a little time before they open. Make sure you check that out before you plan your trip to the landfill. If you have some old vinyl records, the Breast Cancer Foundation of the Ozarks wants them, okay? They are using them as decor pieces for their Hooked on Dance fundraiser coming in October. They don't need to be in good condition. Again, these are just going to be for decoration. So we got some old ones that you haven't used in years and years and years, and you want to give them to a good cause. The Breast Cancer Foundation is that. So you can drop them off anytime at their office at 620 West Republic Road, Suite 107. Their hours Monday through Friday are 9 to 5. And finally, again, we're going to end on some weather because we are under a heat advisory currently until at least 7 o'clock today, last time I checked. There are some cooling centers opening around the Ozarks. So many senior and library centers are open as a cooling center. I looked almost all the Springfield libraries and senior centers, along with like Marshfield and Stratford and Willard, Ozark, Nixa, everywhere that I looked, they had one open. So check your library or senior center if you're really needing somewhere to cool off. Also, the Salvation Army on West Chestnut will be open. The Kitchen Rare Breed that's downtown. Brightspeed Ice Park is open. The Ozarks Regional YMCA, the Pat Jones Center on Republic Road is open as well. And also Sunrise Christian Church in Marshfield. All those places are great places. If you need to cool off, you can do so. Also, make sure you watch Wake Up Weather with Abby Dyer after this. She is a way better meteorologist than I am because I'm not one. So make sure you check in with her and she'll give us all of the updates on the weather today and throughout the week. And that's all I got for you today. So thank you for bearing with me. And you guys will have the lovely Ethan and Sarah back tomorrow. So I hope you have a great Tuesday. It's time for Around the Ozarks Wake Up Weather, sponsored by Command Family Medicine, Whole Hog Cafe, Taylor Grubat Chevrolet, and Godfather's Pizza. Here's your host, meteorologist Abby Dyer.
Good morning, everybody. Conditions across the Ozarks today are starting off warm. We have temperatures in the mid-70s, and it is going to be an absolute scorcher today with a heat advisory in place once again. So prepare for the heat. It is going to be a summer-like day for sure across the Ozarks. We are talking about numbers in the 90s, feels like temperatures well into the triple digits. And that's going to happen as early as mid-morning. I mean, it is muggy out there already. You can feel the moisture in the air. You might see it on the windows this morning. We continue to watch for some afternoon thunderstorm chances. It's those pop-up ones, the showers and storms. They won't be too widespread, but those that get the rain are going to see some heavy rain for a short period of time. It's really the East Coast today that's experiencing most of the rain showers and a widespread region of the country experiencing some severe weather later today as well. That's all developing as a cold front pushes into the Ohio River Valley and causes an outbreak of severe thunderstorms for much of the Northeast and portions of the Mid-Atlantic too. We also see heavy rain and flash flooding happening for the Four Corners region with monsoonal rain coming down there. So flooding is a headline across the country today, as well as extreme heat. And you can guess by stepping outside which one we are in. Prepare for the hottest day of the week. That's today. We've got temperatures climbing all the way into the 90s. I have 95 for the high temperature in Springfield, but there will be places around that get closer to 98. Heat index values will be between 100 and 110. So it doesn't matter if you're 95 or 98. It's going to feel more like 110 as you step outside this afternoon. Make sure also that you have plenty of sunscreen on if you have to be outdoors today. The UV index is through the roof and burn time happens in less than 5 minutes. Heat advisories out for everybody. There are no exceptions for the Ozarks today. In fact, the entire state of Missouri and Arkansas, pretty much everybody seeing some heat advisories and heat warnings, excessive heat warnings, as well as heat advisories. We also have to remember to drink plenty of water, take breaks in the air conditioning if you have to be outdoors today. But really, it's one of those forecasts where I just advise waiting because the temperatures do look better later in the week. If you can delay mowing the grass a day, I recommend doing that. We've got more seasonable temperatures returning in the forecast tomorrow. Numbers are going to be back into the 80s for some, and rain chances return to our forecast too. Our frontal boundary is going to sweep through the region late Thursday into Friday, and that will likely be our next best chance for some more widespread rain in the forecast. Numbers are going to be falling back into the low 60s starting overnight Tuesday night into Wednesday. We will see temperatures that look a little bit better by tomorrow. High temps today in the 90s to low triple digits. Tomorrow, we're in the low 80s. It's going to feel a whole lot better around the Ozarks, and I think we keep those 80-degree temperatures through both Thursday and Friday of this week also. Around the country, what's making headlines? Well, it's the second tropical depression bringing heavy rain and threats for the northeastern Gulf Coast. That rainfall is ongoing as that storm system tracks off to the west. We also have those monsoonal thunderstorms that I mentioned continuing for the next couple of days over the southwest. That's happening into the Great Basin region, and hazardous heat is in place from the northern plains all the way to the lower Mississippi Valley. You know that. You're feeling it. That's why we have that heat advisory out for us today. All right, it's time for that Around the Ozarks Wake Up Weather Brain Twister trivia question for the day. The question yesterday: what is the specific name for the rare tubular cloud formation stretching up to 600 miles long that regularly rolls across northern Australia's Gulf of Carpentaria, like a giant horizontal log? Do you think that is A, the morning glory cloud, B, the roll cloud wave, C, the outback tube, or D, the southern squall? My personal favorite of the list was the outback tube, but that is not the correct answer. It is A, the morning glory cloud. While roll clouds are similar, they can form occasionally around the globe. Burketown in northern Australia is the only place on Earth where they can be reliably predicted every single spring. The phenomenon is caused by a unique interaction between sea breezes. Air currents blowing from opposite sides of the Cape York Peninsula collide. They generate this kind of solitary atmospheric wave, and massive wave rolls across the Gulf. Moist air as the front is pushed upward and cools the cloud. So it creates this solitary tube-shaped cloud that glides through the air at speeds of 35 miles an hour. So if you chose A, the morning glory cloud, you are correct. Here's your next chance to win. What is the name given to the mysterious heavy boulders in Death Valley that move across the dry lake bed completely on their own, leaving long, distinct tracks carved in the mud behind them? Do you think these are called A, sliding rocks, B, sailing stones, C, wandering boulders, or D, drift rocks? Let me know your guess. You can do it at the website. It's aroundtheozarks.com. Thanks so much for listening on this very hot Tuesday in the Ozarks. Isolated storm chance this afternoon. Heat index value well into the triple digits. Big shout out to our sponsors: Command Family Medicine, Whole Hog Cafe, Taylor Grubaugh Chevrolet, and Godfather's Pizza. Have a great one. I'll chat with you again first thing tomorrow.